Welcome, junior architects. Please grab a seat. I am absolutely thrilled to have you all here for this high-level briefing. Today, we are undertaking a monumental explainer. You've successfully led your people out of captivity. You've survived the early eras, but honestly, your true work begins right now. You are staring down a primitive town with a population of exactly 4,500 souls, and right now, they are relying on primitive barter and scattered, incredibly inefficient farming. They have zero overarching organizational structure, relying entirely on desperate, outdated systems. So, as your chief architect, my goal today is to equip you with the strategic blueprints you need to transition this chaotic population into a unified, highly optimized, and self-sustaining civilization. We are moving way beyond mere survival here. We're building the roots of long-term macroeconomic stability.
Now, before we lay a single brick, I want to anchor our briefing today in this profound philosophical concept. You see, true architecture isn't just about erecting housing units, barns, and storage facilities. It's really about engineering the invisible bonds that tie humanity together. This super reality isn't some illusion. It's the concrete result of how your citizens interact, produce, and survive together. To build a sustainable game economy, you must first understand that you are organizing human beliefs and behaviors into a cohesive, perfectly balanced engine.
Okay, let's dive into this blueprint. Today we're looking at 1. Foundations of unified civilization. 2. The 12 noble professions. 3. Affinity and population management. 4. Building a self-sustaining economy. 5. Infrastructure and strategic trade-offs. And 6. Linking continents through unity. Section 1. Foundations of unified civilization. Anchoring the societal structure.
Look, before we can assign a single citizen to a farm or a workshop, we have to understand the elemental core of the people we are actually managing. Every citizen you govern is composed of specific codes and elements. The Seal of Jolan, also known as the Advanced Practical Elemental Seal, is your absolute key to understanding this. Think of it as a highly powerful logistical tool. Understanding a citizen's elemental composition allows you to factor their probability of pursuing a particular course of action right into an equation. It gives you the raw insight needed to maintain civil cooperation. You can practically predict how your population will react to the environment, allowing you to establish a secure, unified foundation that totally prevents the seeds of a dark age from taking root.
But here's the catch. This knowledge requires absolute balance. To release this seal, a leader has to possess 3 distinct traits in perfect equilibrium. First, a powerful mind, which guarantees a sharp comprehension of logic. But, logic without empathy is incredibly dangerous, which is exactly why you need a strong heart, where your logic is governed securely by your emotions. Finally, you need a strong spirit, where absolutely all actions are anchored by virtue. If you forsake even one of these, boom, the seeds for a systemic collapse and a new dark age will manifest. Keep them in balance, though, and you sow the seeds for a true renaissance.
Notice how the 7 cannons and 7 stones really anchor our overarching societal structure. Even though these masters are geographically separated, each possessing their own unique, isolated mountains, they are fundamentally tied together by a shared history and shared virtues. And as you build your local towns, you've got to remember that this shared virtue is the invisible bond that will eventually allow you to connect your geographically isolated continents. They serve as a constant reminder that individual mastery must always, always serve the communal good.
Section 2. The 12 noble professions. Zodiac-aligned division of labor.
All right, let's shift this explainer into the practical mechanics. We have 4,500 chaotic citizens. How do we actually organize them? Well, we implement a highly structured, specialized division of labor. This right here is the foundation of a flawless game economy, the 12 noble professions. By mapping societal roles directly to the 12 zodiac signs, we categorize each profession by its specific contribution to long-term stability. For instance, you've got Libra ensuring justice and security to maintain internal peace. Leo tracks demographics and family growth. Then there's the Taurus system governing agriculture and transport, ensuring critical food security. Cancer manages medicine and antidotes to prevent plagues. The Scorpio system handles ecology and our overarching economy, while Aquarius manages hygiene and water purification. Gemini categorizes knowledge and logic. The Aries workforce is totally dedicated to weaving and textiles, while Virgo demands the extreme precision needed for architecture and large-scale infrastructure. Sagittarius provides leadership, Capricorn focuses on territorial expansion, and finally, Pisces handles fishing and diplomatic alliances. This deep division ensures that absolutely every basic need of your population is covered by a dedicated sector. It's a self-locking matrix of survival.
Section 3. Affinity and Population Management. Optimizing the Gemini System.
Now, obviously, assigning jobs randomly is a complete recipe for disaster. We need to match the right citizen to the right profession. As junior architects, you must execute this exact recruitment protocol. First up, use the Gemini system to scan the individual elemental affinities of every single citizen. Next, apply the alignment of interests method. Think about it. People naturally cooperate better with those who share similar intellectual and emotional baselines, right? So grouping them based on these aligned traits drastically minimizes social friction and elevates morale. Then you apply a round-robin measurement among those newly formed teams to cross-reference their stats. The citizen who produces the highest average reading when measured against their peers, they are democratically assigned the leadership role. This rigorous methodology ensures peak daily labor efficiency and really locks in internal civil cooperation.
Let's look closely at how this works practically within the Taurus agriculture system. We aren't just looking for generically strong people. No, we scan for highly specific knowledge affinities. We're assessing a citizen's knowledge of weather and climate to anticipate planting seasons. We're evaluating their understanding of soil dynamics to manage mineral interactions. We check their physical strength for the actual heavy lifting. And crucially, their mental fortitude to invent and implement new automated farming processes. By ensuring that an individual's unique elemental composition directly matches their daily labor task, you optimize productivity across the board and literally eliminate wasted potential. Section 4. Building a self-sustaining economy. Eliminating external dependency.
Okay, so our workers are perfectly assigned. Now we transition to our primary macroeconomic goal, building a self-sustaining economy that answers to absolutely no foreign powers. Trace this sociological chain reaction with me. If you want political stability, you have to start with the soil. By distributing land and livestock directly to your citizens, you ensure their basic needs are met immediately. When you ensure perpetual food security, you completely eliminate mass hunger. And here is the real secret to criminal justice. When you eliminate hunger, you drastically reduce crimes committed out of sheer necessity. This lack of desperation directly translates to immense loyalty to leadership and profound long-term political stability. You aren't just farming crops here, you are cultivating peace.
Here is your operational guide for scaling food production to support a rapidly growing population. Out of the 12 systems we talked about, 4 are intimately related to food: Taurus, Cancer, Aquarius, and Pisces. Therefore, you must allocate exactly 1/4 of your entire workforce purely to food production. Then, distribute half of your harvested seeds directly to the citizens so they can build localized domestic farms as economic buffers. Give every citizen a pair of breeding livestock. This is absolutely crucial because it empowers them to participate in cross-trade. For example, a citizen can trade excess milk or trade raw wool to the Aries weavers in exchange for clothing. Both sides sustain the economy without any state intervention. Finally, you have to carefully restrict overarching consumption to match your cultivation rates. This strict discipline prevents general shortages and ensures the long-term survival of your herds.
Section 5. Infrastructure and Strategic Trade-offs. Balancing immediate needs with long-term growth.
So the crucial point here is that a brilliant economy is totally useless without the bones to support it. You are constantly balancing immediate survival against future prosperity. You must assign 1/12 of your population strictly to Virgo architecture. Now, yeah, pulling these skilled laborers away from immediate food production might feel incredibly risky today, but it is entirely essential. They need to build housing, processing factories, and critically, advanced storage facilities. Grains and tubers have to be dried under the sun to eliminate moisture and pathogens, then stored safely in sophisticated barns. You, as chief architect, are constantly making the strategic trade-off between feeding your people today and ensuring their surplus food doesn't rot tomorrow.
Let's look at how this infrastructure translates into supply chain logistics. Because having food at the farm doesn't feed a rapidly growing town across the valley. You must direct your architects to establish carpentry and wood workshops. There, they will literally invent the wheel and design heavy transport carts meant to be bound to beasts of burden. But, a wooden wheel is easily shattered on uneven ground, so you have to immediately initiate roadworks to level the terrain. These deliberate mechanical steps allow you to establish highly efficient internal supply routes that remain completely independent of any venomous, manipulative external supply chains. You alone control your own survival.
What's really interesting about this is how we take primitive barter and turn it into an advanced, decentralized economic engine.
By using the Gemini system to track resources and the Scorpio ecology system's trace mode, you map absolutely every good and service directly to its producer. Citizens then use a centralized registry to report their material needs. The system calculates priority values, perfectly aligning a consumer's need with the producer who requires that exact consumer's specific output in return. It completely removes the guesswork, creating a perfectly symbiotic, self-regulating local economy based entirely on mutual need and aligned interests.
Section 6. Linking Continents Through Unity. The Age of Explorers.
All right, by now you've secured your local population. But as your local economies hum perfectly, we usher in the age of explorers. You've got to constantly remind yourselves that you are currently residing on geographically isolated continents. Your ultimate goal as chief architects is to research how to connect these continents in earnest. You've secured the ground, you've managed your resources, and optimized your labor. Now it's time to look outwards to the oceans and the skies to find your distant comrades.
To actually pull off this transcontinental transit, you must pivot your Gemini logic and knowledge workers toward advanced technologies. You're going to deploy massive retracting mirrors to act as brilliant lighthouses and navigational beacons across the dark seas. You will manipulate light spectrums, color alignments, and diffractions to develop rudimentary image capture and transmission devices. You'll even engineer sophisticated gliders utilizing basic aerodynamics to sail the skies. These tools are exactly what will allow you to bridge your self-sustaining local economies into an integrated global supply chain, permanently uniting the isolated worlds.
I want to leave you with this final thought to carry back to your planning tables. You have the blueprint. You know how to align the zodiac professions, you know exactly how to leverage elemental affinities, and you know how to build a resilient, symbiotic economy. So when your powerful mind, your strong heart, and your strong spirit are perfectly balanced, and you finally bridge those distant, isolated continents, what new super reality will your unified civilization forge? The drafting board is all yours. Good luck out there, architects.